pause, change the tapes in the boxes. Super Rockin' Mr. Magic holding it down with non-stop rap music. Keep it right, it's Vice City on Pirate Radio. We just keep making the
Welcome back, everyone. This is DJ GTA Failer, and this is the first in a series of videos about the radio stations of Vice City. There are 9 radio stations in all, and for each song in the game, I'll share some info from Wikipedia about that song and the singer. I'll also give you my impressions of each song, and I'll grade each song on a scale of A through F, with the best of the best getting a grade of S for super. I'll also read about each DJ in the game, and I'll grade each radio station. At the end of this series of radio station videos, I'll give you my final ranking of the radio stations. In the comment sections of these videos, feel free to give your thoughts on any of the songs or radio stations from Vice City. The subject of this video is the Wildstyle radio station. Every time I hear the DJ, Mr. Magic, say the station name, I can't help but think of Lucy, the character from the Lego movie nicknamed Wildstyle. By the way, the footage that I'll be showing during these radio station videos is going to be my attempts at doing a bunch of R3 missions in other locations. For example, in episode 4 of my main Vice City series, I did Pizza Boy on the Eastern Island, but there are 2 pizza shops on the Western Island, and in future radio station videos, you'll see me doing Pizza Boy from each of those 2 Western pizza shops. I'll also show footage of paramedic being done at the 2 hospitals on the Western Island, firefighter being done from 2 different Western Island starting points, and Brown Thunder being done from 2 different starting points. Brown Thunder is an alternative to Vigilante, and it can only be done in a Hunter helicopter. Completing 12 levels of Brown Thunder gives you credit towards 100% completion if you haven't already done 12 levels of Vigilante. In this video, you're watching me do Brown Thunder. Note that I'm in the police outfit so that the soldiers at the base didn't shoot me or my Hunter when I took the Hunter at the start of this video.
That's not it. They still want more. So I sent them down to Studio 54. Say George Born, show the CNC tunes. I've got the jeans that make the tune.
The first track on Wildstyle is a song called Pump Me Up by the group Trouble Funk, released in 1980. Reading from Wikipedia, Trouble Funk is an American R&B and funk band from Washington, D.C. The group helped to popularize funk and the subgenre go-go in the Washington metropolitan area. Trouble Funk sometimes shared the stage with hardcore punk bands of the day such as Minor Threat and the Big Boys. Pump Me Up is the song that we've been listening to for this whole video, and you can hear 2 different people rapping in this song, one of which we heard just a few moments ago, but I also see 2 members listed specifically, named specifically here on Wikipedia, and I'm assuming that the 2 names I'm about to read you from Wikipedia are the 2 rappers you can hear in this song, but I don't know that for sure. Let us know in the comments if you happen to know more. So the 2 members named on Wikipedia, Timotheus T-Bone David, that's one, and then Big Tony Fisher is the other. And they weren't the only members of Trouble Funk, but they're the only 2 named members here on the right-hand side of the screen. The Wikipedia also mentions that their keyboard player, Robert Psych Dyke Reed, died in 2008 from pancreatic cancer. So we heard one of the rappers before. I'm going to play the other rapper for you now.
Stop the beat and boogie on down to the funky beat. Well, they call me this, and that's my name. And poking around, it is my game.
I liked that first rapper quite a bit. The second rapper is clearly talented. I didn't like him nearly as much. I'm going to give this song a grade of C. It's definitely not the worst song in Vice City. It's just okay for me. If there were more of the first rapper and less of the second rapper, I think it would get a B. Reading from Wikipedia, Trouble Funk's song Pump Me Up was sampled by many other artists, including Dimple D's one-hit wonder Sucker DJ, Public Enemy's Fight the Power, Curtis Blow's If I Ruled the World, and Mars's song Pump Up the Volume. The game is also featured on the fictional old-school hip-hop radio station Wildstyle in the game Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Hey, we got a shout-out in Wikipedia.
One for the treble, 2 for the bass. Come on, Davey D, let's rock this place. This is Wildstyle. This is a very special record for a very special person. Personal friend of mine, Davey DMX, y'all. Wildstyle.
Second track is called One for the Treble by Davey DMX from Wikipedia. David Franklin Reeves Jr., known professionally as Davey DMX, Davey D, or David Reeves, is an American musician, DJ, and producer best known for his work in cooperation with Run DMC, Curtis Blow, the Fat Boys, and Jam Master Jay. An early associate of Russell Simmons and Larry Smith, Dave first made his name in the 1980s. He was born in 1960 in New York City, and as of this recording is alive and well at age 63. Dave debuted as a solo artist late in 1983, cutting One for the Treble as Davey DMX for Tough City Records. Having used the Oberheim DMX drum machine to make the beats for many of his productions, he chose to call himself Davey DMX, primarily a hip-hop instrumental. One for the Treble was reviewed by Eric Schmuckler for The Village Voice in May 1984, who wrote, quote, Davey finds unusual sound fragments to scratch against the beat, like heavily processed voices and the soon-to-be widely imitated squealing tires, which bring the record to a screeching halt. This song doesn't do anything for me, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to give it a grade of D for Davey. While we listen to this song, let me read a bit from the wiki about the radio stations here in Vice City in general. The arrangement of the soundtrack of Vice City was a big move on the part of Rockstar Games. Unlike the previous games in the series, which relied to a great extent in original creations, Vice City has an overwhelming majority of licensed content with just 5 original songs. Most radio stations play a mixture of music, DJ chat, and spoof advertising. The stations each reflect one style of music intended to evoke the atmosphere of the time. The bulk of the soundtrack consists of contemporary 1980s music, but also includes music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Several of the stations also reappear in Vice City Stories, which is a direct prequel to this game. In 2012, Vice City was released on iOS and Android to celebrate the game's 10th anniversary. However, over the years, song licenses expired, and therefore some songs were removed from these versions of the game. The same songs are missing from the game's re-release as a PS2 classic, as well as the definitive edition. The only station to retain its original soundtrack is Wave 103. I'll do my best to point out the songs that were in the original game, but then have not been in any version since 2012, when the iOS and Android versions came out. There are 9 radio stations plus 1 customizable station where the player can play MP3s.
Let's keep up the non-stop music with a very special track from Cybertron. Am I making myself clear? Let's keep it moving, y'all.
The third track is called Clear, reading from Wikipedia. Clear is a 1983 electro song performed by the American group Cybotron and composed by Cybotron members Juan Atkins and Richard Davis. At least 50,000 copies of the Clear single were sold, according to a 1997 article in The Wire, which describes the song as a, quote, groundbreaking, first-generation piece of pure machine music. The song's instantly recognizable loop has been sampled by many rap and hip-hop artists such as Missy Elliott's Lose Control and Poison Clan's Shake What Your Mama Gave Ya. Now reading about the group. Cybotron is an American electro music group formed in 1980 by Juan Atkins and Richard 3070 Davis in Detroit. Cybotron had a number of singles now considered classics and style-defining works of the electro genre, particularly Clear, Alleys of Your Mind, Cosmic Cars, and R9. Although generally considered electro, Cybotron was also part of the early evolution of techno music. Cybotron was the first musical outlet of techno co-originator Juan Atkins, and the group's unique combination of musical influences, boldly experimental aesthetic, and Afro-futurist philosophy became the underpinnings of Detroit techno. Cybotron intended for their music to reflect the atmosphere of economic desperation and alienation in Detroit in the 1980s. Songs like Alleys of Your Mind at Techno City were specifically aimed to mirror the city using technology to capture this spirit. Cybotron used subliminal funk amidst their programmed beats to reflect the dying auto industry in Detroit. I find this song to be quite catchy, and I'll give it a grade of B. I especially like this loop of repeated rising notes. Now reading from the Vice City Wiki, Wildstyle Pirate Radio is a radio station in Vice City hosted by super rocking Mr. Magic. The station plays old school hip-hop and electro music. Wildstyle is an underground pirate radio, a fact that its DJ frequently mentions, taunting the police because they can't find its whereabouts. The format seems to be that of an unofficial mixtape common in the early days of hip-hop, and moreover many of the earliest hip-hop acts in history are featured. Mr. Magic boasts that as a pirate radio they don't play commercials. However, there is a single commercial in there from the Complete the Look clothing store advertising some hip-hop apparels. The fourth track is called Al Nafish (parentheses The Soul) by the artist Hashim. Reading from Wikipedia. Gerald C. Caliste Jr., born 1965, also known as Hashim, is an American entrepreneur, producer, songwriter, publisher, and former DJ who is best known for the hip-hop, electro, and dance music song Al Nafish The Soul from 1983. At the age of 16, he used a $50 Casio keyboard to teach himself how to play keyboard by ear. 1 year later, at the age of 16, he went on to write and produce this song, Al Nafish The Soul, considered, quote, one of the greatest electro tracks ever. During the early 80s, it made it to number 43 in the Billboard's dance disco charts, and to this day, parts of Al Nafish The Soul have been sampled over and over again. Again, he made this song when he was 16 years old. Some of this song is kind of unaccompanied percussion, which I don't really care for, so I'm going to skip ahead to the part of the song that I do like, which is the synthesizer part. Here it comes. Possible correction here, Hashim might have been 17 and not 16 when he wrote this song. Either way, very, very young to have an incredible hit song. That said, I don't really like it. The synthesizer part here is cool, but I can't go any higher than a D. Now we'll read about the DJ of Wildstyle from Wikipedia. John Mr. Magic Rivas was a prominent Puerto Rican hip-hop radio DJ. Right, so this is not a character created for the game Vice City. This is a real-life person whose real-life nickname, DJ name, was Mr. Magic. Mr. Magic debuted in 1979 on the radio station WHBI in New York City. It was a far cry from the prime time in New York. What he didn't realize was he was starting the very first radio rap show. A few short years would go by, and Frankie Crocker, program manager for Inner City Broadcasting, took his rising star to commercial powerhouse WBLS with the first exclusive rap radio show to be aired on a major station. Rap Attack, which was Magic's show, featured Marley Marl as the DJ and Tyrone Fly Ty Williams as the show's co-producer. Mr. Magic's reign on the New York City airwaves lasted 6 years and was instrumental in broadening the scope and validity of hip-hop music. He recorded one 12-inch single as an artist called Magic's Message (There's a Better Way). It was produced by Spider D for Posse Records in 1984. Spider D was actually one of the artists featured in the GTA 3 soundtrack. He is also interviewed in the 1986 cult documentary Big Fun in the Big Town. During the mid-80s, there was a rivalry between Mr. Magic and cool DJ Red Alert, who hosted a weekly show on WRKS-FM. The feud also played out between proxy rap groups, the Juice Crew and Boogie Down Productions. In 2002, Magic lent his voice to Grand Theft Auto Vice City as himself a DJ on one of the in-game radio stations. Magic died on October 2, 2009 at the age of 53 from a heart attack.
A big shout out to my man Cool Craig and Allen, along with the homeboy Will, on heavy lockdown in the studio, finishing up their brand new album, keeping it locked to Wildstyle. Now this one's for you, but guys, stay out of trouble. Good luck, Super Rock and Mr. Magic firmly on your side. It's Wildstyle on Pirate Radio.
We just heard Mr. Magic shouting out Cool Craig and Allen along with their homeboy Will. This is a specific reference to 3 sound producers who worked on this game. They were all employees of Rockstar North. So again, Cool Craig, Allen, and Will are respectively Craig Connor, Alan Walker, and Will Morton, sound producers at Rockstar North. We're now listening to the fifth song on Wildstyle. I'll read from Wikipedia. Rocket is a composition recorded by American jazz pianist Herbie Hancock. The track was driven by its DJ scratch style, performed primarily by DXT, and its music video, created by Godley and Cream, featured the robotic art of Jim Whiting. It was put in high rotation on MTV. Rocket won a Grammy Award for Best R&B Instrumental Performance in 1983, and it won 5 MTV Music Awards in 1984. Herbie Hancock appears in the video playing keyboard. The video won 2 Billboard Video Music Awards, one for Most Innovative Video and the other for Best Art Direction. Rocket was performed at the 1985 Grammy Awards with contemporaries Howard Jones, Thomas Dolby, and Stevie Wonder. In terms of chart performance, its peak on the US Billboard Hot 100 was number 71. On the US Billboard Hot Black Singles, it peaked at number 6. And on the US Billboard Hot Dance Club playlist, it peaked at number 1. Now reading from Wikipedia about the composer of this song, Herbert Jeffrey Hancock, born 1940, is an American jazz musician, band leader, and composer. He started his career with Donald Byrd. He later joined the Miles Davis Quintet. In the 70s, he experimented with jazz fusion, funk, and electro styles. It was during this period that he released perhaps his best-known and most influential album, Headhunters. During the 80s, he enjoyed a hit single with the electronic instrumental Rocket. He has won an Academy Award and 14 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year for his 2007 Joni Mitchell tribute album, River, The Joni Letters. Yeah, so as of the moment of this recording, he is alive and well at age 84. As we've heard, Herbie Hancock has tons of Grammys and other awards, but one of his proudest achievements is about to happen because it's going to be the grade that I give him for the song Rocket in this video. It is our first S, and this song is super. Congratulations, Herbie. Before we move on to the sixth track, I should point out that Rocket is missing from the iOS and Android versions of Vice City, and from the PS2 Classics version, and the Rockstar Games launcher, and the Trilogy edition of Vice City. As I mentioned earlier in this video, song licenses ran out, and so this is the first song that we're seeing that did not appear after 2011. Okay, sixth song is the one that we're listening to right now. It's called Looking for the Perfect Beat by Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force. It is also missing from all of those versions of the game. Reading from Wikipedia, this track took much longer to develop than Planet Rock, which is another track. Talks about Baker, one of the folks involved here. One of the producers was using cocaine and was dealing with pressures associated with creating a follow-up to a hit single, Planet Rock. This song, Looking for the Perfect Beat, was released in December 1982. From contemporary reviews, J.D. Considine gave the song a 4 out of 5 rating, writing in the Baltimore Sun, Looking for the Perfect Beat doesn't manage the same sense of discovery as Planet Rock, but it manages to be almost as catchy. It refines the relationship between the vocals and the electronic pulse. The rapping on the song was fairly trite, but it makes up for that by always being on the one, like on the one beat. Critic Robert Palmer placed Looking for the Perfect Beat as his top single of 1983, declaring it, quote, the year's finest single, noting it was an ingenious small symphony in rap rhythms and a dance floor favorite, the year's most widely imitated new sound. Looking for the Perfect Beat was ranked at number 13 among the tracks of the year for 1983 by NME. Now reading from Wikipedia about Africa Bambaataa, one of the performers on this song, Lance Taylor, born 1957, is an American DJ, rapper, and producer from the South Bronx, New York. He is notable for releasing a series of genre-defining electro tracks in the 80s that influenced the development of hip-hop culture. Africa Bambaataa is one of the originators of breakbeat DJing. So now I realize that Soul Sonic Force is actually just the name of the band that Africa Bambaataa is in. So reading from Wikipedia about Soul Sonic Force, it's an American electro, funk, and hip-hop ensemble led by Africa Bambaataa, who helped establish hip-hop in the early 80s with songs such as Planet Rock. They were also influential in the birth of the electro movement in America and helped pave the way for modern dance music styles such as electro funk, as well as the entire Miami bass scene. Their other well-known singles include this one, Looking for the Perfect Beat, as well as Renegades of Funk, which is one of the earliest political conscious rap songs, alongside Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five's The Message. This song is okay for me. It doesn't really move me in any way, but it's not terrible by any means. We'll give it an average grade of C.
And you know it like a poet. It's non-stop rap attack on your radio. Pirate radio. Wildstyle radio. Now stay tuned for the 2 Live crew giving it all they got. Super Rock and Mr. Magic holding it down. Wildstyle.
I'm the only man that can rock your world.
Come with me and let me
Get it, girl.
Next track on Wildstyle is called Get It Girl by 2 Live Crew from Wikipedia. 2 Live Crew was an American hip-hop group from Miami, Florida, which had its greatest commercial success from the late 80s to the early 90s. The group's most well-known lineup was composed of Luke, Fresh Kid Ice, Mr. Mix, and Brother Marquis. They were considered controversial in the US due to the sexually explicit content in their songs, particularly on their 1989 album As Nasty as They Wanna Be. So I'm old enough to actually remember the controversy associated with that album. In fact, I can picture very clearly the album cover in my head. It's got the 4 artists, the 4 singers in this song, looking up at 4 women who are wearing thong bikinis, and we're looking at the view from behind the women. So we see the backs of the women and the fronts of the guys in the group. And I do remember like the stickers that were on the album cover, like warning about the obscenities either on the cover or in the lyrics themselves. Oftentimes the stickers would cover the rear ends of these 4 women. And now I'll read about this album from Wikipedia. As Nasty as They Wanna Be is the 3rd album by 2 Live Crew. It was released on February 7th, 1989 and became the group's largest seller, being certified platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America. In 1990, the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida ruled that the album was legally obscene. This ruling was later overturned by the 11th Circuit. It is the first album in history to be deemed legally obscene. So I'm not going to get into all the controversy here, but you can see that the government of Florida was intimately involved in this from a legal perspective. The governor asked somebody in the state of Florida to look into it. The Broward County Sheriff was involved. There was a music store owner who sold a copy of this album to an undercover cop, and then he was charged, later acquitted, but it's the first time that a record store owner was found liable for some of the material on a record that they sold. And also several of the members of 2 Live Crew were arrested after performing a concert because the lyrics were deemed obscene, and so they were held to be afoul of some Florida state law in terms of obscenity. Freedom of speech advocates got involved in that trial about the 3 members of 2 Live Crew that were arrested, and the charge they were acquitted of all charges. And then one of the members of 2 Live Crew, Luke, suggested that people should instead worry about issues associated with hunger and poverty and not the lyrics of a song. That's a sentiment I agree with. 2 Live Crew's biggest hits were Me So Horny and Banned in USA, both of which reached #1 on the US rap Billboard charts. I like both of those songs quite a bit more than Get It Girl. The singing part probably would get a B from me, but then there's like all this other like cacophony of noise besides the singing part, which unfortunately pulls my grade for this song down to a C. We're just over halfway through the Wildstyle track listing. We'll finish up in our next radio station video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you real soon.